Good evening, everyone. I hope my voice is clearly audible. Okay. So, a very warm welcome to you all for this webinar. Uh, Today's webinar would be somewhat different from rest of the webinars because of the information that it will be discussing. But before that, I am Rajiv Singh, actually working with Manya as a destination manager, taking care of Europe and USA as the two destinations. And with me will be Ms. Raji Shankar, who is an expert mentor of and has a very good year of experience in teaching GMAT. So we both will be taking this session. Okay, so today's session will be focused on two very important things. First is uh, the importance of taking GMAT in today's competitive scenario, and the second part will be discussing on the structure of GMAT and how to approach those things. Ideally, this session will be beneficial for those students who have completed their bachelor's, have some work experience, and is looking for a B school education or looking for an MBA or an MIM. It will also be helpful for those students who are in the pre-final year, or who has just started working. So, and the main motto is all the students should be looking for the business education. Basically, I will try to cover some of the most important things uh, in terms of the B school applications processes, the weightage given to GMAT, and I'll ensure that this session is very informative for you all. So once the session completes, then you can ask any of your questions and we will try to answer one by one, depending on whichever questions are important. So we can move on to the first slide. So look at this slide. I have mentioned roughly 20 universities, 20 B schools, you can say. These B schools are very valuable. These schools have the potential of transforming you into a CEO, transforming you into a global citizen, transforming you into a global entrepreneur. These schools are the best B schools in the world. This, as a matter of fact, these schools have given the highest number of CEOs in the world. Talking about Fortune 500 companies, most of the CEOs will have one or the other degree from any of these B schools. So if you're looking for a business education, your thought process should be to target these schools initially and prepare your profile accordingly. If you get into this, it's going to be a game changer for you from your career perspective. It's completely going to flip your career destiny. It will be just like it will be the other side of the coin. If you are heads today, you will become tails on a positive note. So these schools have a specialty of transforming a normal individuals into a potential leaders. So in order to get into this B school, there is a very important test which is known as GMAT test. GMAT test, briefly speaking, is a test required by B schools which helps you in admission process. Now, these B schools, as I said, are among the world's top, or you can say among the best in the world. So some of you may ask, how can you say that? So just to justify that, whenever you want to check the top B schools, please refer to this website, Financial Times FT rankings for either MIM or an MBA. This website will give you a holistic picture of the top B schools in the world. What is the GMAT score required? What should be the range? And what is the basic profile requirement of these universities? So you can refer to this website for any of the details related to your B school application. In this B school FT rankings, there are some Indian schools also, including the likes of Indian School of Business, IIMs, which are featured among top 50 in the world. And for those who don't know, Indian B schools do accept GMAT as well for the MBA applications. IIMs do accept, and ISB also accepts, which is among the top 50 in the world. So if you take GMAT, your opportunities and your countries of applying for your B school will increase enormously, which we are going to discuss in the coming slides as well. So if you get into any of the B schools, these are some of the features which you are going to get. I said in the first slide that these schools can transform you from a normal individual to a CEO, into a global citizen, into a global entrepreneur. How do they transform? It is because of these three parameters. You get a global network, you get a global mobility, easier access to venture funding. If you are a pass out from a Stanford University, raising $10 million, that is 50 crores, will be comparatively easier for you than a normal individual who is not from a premium B school. And that can bring all the difference. If you pass out from any of the top B schools, you land in any part of the world, Spain, Portugal, Germany, Singapore, you will have the alumni network from those schools. You will be recognized actually. So world becomes your global platform. And obviously, global references can also help. If you pass out from those top B schools, you're not going to find a job through Naukri.com or through any other local job portals. It is only through references. And references can only be built if you graduate from those top B schools. So these are some of the very important USPs which you get actually. And this is worth going for. It's going to bring a complete transformation in your career, in your thought process, most importantly. And will ensure a highest level of satisfaction as far as career growth is considered. Okay, so this is just a brief. Why should you go for a top B schools? And in order to get into a top B schools, you require a very important filter, which is known as a GMAT test. I will discuss in the next slide. We can move on to the next slide. Okay, so this is the importance of GMAT test. So as I said, in India, there are 136 B schools which accepts GMAT, including the likes of ISB, IIM Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta, Kozhikode, Indore, and Lucknow. And globally, obviously, it is accepted. So in India, what happens is GMAT score is given very, very high weightage. For instance, if you apply for IIM Ahmedabad for PGPX or IIM Bangalore or Calcutta, unless you have 720, you will not be getting a call for the interview. Same with ISB. Although for ISB, there is a range from 680 to 720. But if you have 700 plus, 720 plus, at least you can get an interview call. So in India, the trend is that the GMAT score is given very high weightage, roughly around 80%. Because if you do not cross that criteria, even if your profile is brilliant, you will not be shortlisted for the interview. But what is the difference in terms of the global scenario? GMAT is given 20% weightage, and the global B schools give due importance to all other parameters, which includes your LORs, SOP, interview, your brand, your work experience, all those things mentioned out here. Now you'd be saying, okay, 20% weightage, and then I think I can manage other parameters well, and I can get an admit. No, there is again a catch to it. Although the weightage given is 20%, but the top B schools have a definite score which you have to cross. For example, if you're applying to INSEAD, although they have mentioned that they do not have any specific GMAT score, they will be preferring candidates with 720 plus. So if you do not cross this filter, the chances are that you will not be shortlisted. So once you get shortlisted, then your GMAT weightage will be 20%. Means in the second round of evaluation. Okay, in order to crack the first step, you need to have a high GMAT score. Okay, exceptions do count. There are students with 680, 700 also getting a call. But again, I'm talking about the general criteria. Okay, so this is very, very important, which you have to keep in mind while you are preparing for GMAT or while you are thinking of starting an application for any of the top B schools. In the next, now the question is, some of you may ask, okay, sir or madam, I am in the third year. I have not still decided which country I should go for my B school. I may take about a year or so. Should I take GMAT or not now? The answer is yes, because of two reasons. First is GMAT is accepted in almost all the major developed economies. Second, the validity of GMAT is 5 years. For top B schools, they accept only 3 years old GMAT score. Okay, not 5, but 3. So The strategy is, let's say if you are a candidate with only 1 or 2 years of experience, now you are thinking that I will take 2 more years of experience and then apply for an MBA. The best part is take a GMAT now, because it's going to be valid after 3 years also. And for the next 2 years, focus on your work experience. Try to gain best quality experience, and also parallelly focus on the SOP LOR resume. That headache of test is gone. That is already done with you. That you have reserved. So that should be the strategy. Unlike the other Indian exams like CAT or IIT, CAT, like wherein you have to just take it in the year in which you are applying, basically. So what I recommend to student is you take the test now. If in case you are willing to apply for after 1 or 2 years, get yourself free from this test prep and then focus on your admission prep, whatever, work experience, just to make things smooth for you. For those students who wish to currently apply or apply in the current year, they can obviously take GMAT. And believe me, if you are a serious candidate, 2 months of consistent preparation will help you to score 700 plus in GMAT. So this technicalities Ms. Raji will be discussing later on. So this is just a brief thing which I wanted to discuss. Beat US, beat Germany, beat France, beat Italy, Netherlands, Switzerland, Singapore, India, everywhere GMAT is accepted. Name a country, top country, GMAT will be accepted. So your score is not going to be futile at any point of time, unless you keep it for more than 5 years. No other test has this level of acceptance across the world. Fine. Now, some of you may ask, okay, sir, the thing is, I have heard that many schools take students without GMAT also. I will go there itself. I will not go to a school which takes GMAT. I agree. There are schools across the world which accept student without GMAT also. But my recommendation as a mentor, as an advisor to you is always choose school which takes GMAT, because it has a direct impact on your career path which you are going to take after an MBA. So this slide will give you an idea on this. Assuming you go to a school which do not take a GMAT, entry requirements are very flexible. Just show your mark sheet, give the fees, and go and relax and enjoy and do your MBA. You know what? How it will impact? Check out the first column. If you are a serious candidate and if you are very competent, if you do not have a degree from premium B school, it may take up to 25 plus years to become a CEO. I'm using the word may. You may or may not become. That is no assurance. Okay, but if you go through a school which takes GMAT, and that criteria is given mostly by the top B schools, chances and probability is much higher. Obviously 100% assurance no one can give. So but probability, if you talk about, more than 80 to 90% chance are there that you will become a CEO in about 20 years post completion of your MBA. If you are very competent, you may even become a CEO in 15 years of experience. And that is proved from the fact that many of the Indian CEOs who have passed from IIMs, ISB, or from top B schools have become a CEO. Sundar Pichai is one of the most inspirational people I can think of. Vinod Khosla, I can think of, the founder of Sun Microsystems. Then Satya Nadella, he is also having a top B school degree. All of them are the CEOs. They are ruling the world actually. So you can see Sundar Pichai, he's just 45, 47, I guess, not more than that. He's a CEO of Google, a multi-billion-dollar company. So that is the impact of the degree from a top B school. And you'd be seeing in your local area also many of the MBAs who are from a normal B school are just working as manager, sales manager, area manager, game closed. So never ever refrain from working hard. And GMAT is something which will not take a lot of time like other tests which take 2 years of consistent preparation. GMAT will be asking you for a smart and a strategic preparation. Devote two months of time, prepare, get a good score, apply strategically. And even if your, let's say, one of the component is weak, like your academics are weak or work experience is weak, you can balance the other factors which we discussed in the previous slide. That SOP is given 20% weightage, and then GMAT is 20%, 30%. All those components are there. You can balance. So that is the best part of the B school, that you can balance and make your profile strong and then apply. which is not applicable for technical courses. If I have a low score and if I want to go into MTech in mechanical or MS mechanical, if I have 5 CGPA, it will be very difficult for me. But for B school, it is a possibility. Fine, so this career track is very, very important. You have to keep in mind, no one is going to discuss this, but just focus on this and you are going to get good results post your MBA. I hope this is clear. Okay, now moving on to this placement statistics. This is very, very important. So this is data of one of the top B schools of our country. So if you graduate from a top B school, this is what you are going to get. If you are working with 8 lakh, 10 lakh package, if you want to increase it to 20, 25 lakh CTC, this is the only option left. Until unless you have some magic wand, without degree, you need to have a magic wand to transform your thought process and then convince the management to give you a 25 lakh salary without even a degree. Okay, the first case is magic wand. The second case is through a top B school degree. And the data shows that most of the top B schools give you more than 100% salary increase. Most importantly, you will also get a chance to shift your function in industry. If you're working in insurance and you want to go into market, let's say FMCG, you can through this MBA degree. Okay, and generally the top B schools give you that flexibility. Normal B schools without GMAT, every XYZ school, no, it's just basic studies. You can do that degree on YouTube also. No need to go to that non-GMAT school. It's just like that. So this is something which is going to transform you. You can become a young leader. Career shift is something which everyone is looking, and you're going to get that. And salary is just a, you can say, a subset of it. It's a component of it, which is more than 100%. Lot of companies will be there. You will be the decision maker. There will be companies lined up giving offers to you. Now you have to choose whether you want Deloitte, whether you want Boston BCG, whether you want Accenture, whether you want Amazon. So that commanding position these schools give. Okay, so this is statistics for one of the B school. Just for your understanding, I have discussed. If you move on to the next slide. So if you talk about the recruiters, whatever your dream is, working in Apple, working in Facebook, working in Schneider Electric, Siemens, Philips, Flipkart, Accenture, Axis Bank, whatever you dream, it can be a possibility that you can work in that company. Provided your bets are right, provided you have taken a right step more strategically and gone through a proven method. There is no shortcut to success. So go with a proven method, do all the things, whatever is required to get into a top B school, and then get yourself placed into any of this. Ultimately, whatever you're doing, your effort will become successful if you achieve dream, whatever you have dreamt in your early initial years. Okay, so I hope this 7-8 slides have given you a very good perspective on the importance of GMAT test. Whatever people say, whatever the social media says that GMAT is waived off, go without GMAT, think logically. If everything was so easy, that then everyone would have become CEOs. So take a right direction, take right bets, prepare accordingly, and proceed ahead. Okay, so I hope you got the clarity now. Because we are short of time, I would ask our eminent expert and mentor, Mrs. Raji, to discuss on the GMAT structure. For those who do not know, just try to get an understand on what the structure is. It will not take much of your time. 2 months to 3 months of preparation will land you a very good score. So I would ask Mrs. Raji to take over from here, wherein she will be discussing the technicals of the GMAT structure, score, and all those things.
Thank you, Rajiv. Good evening, people. So you had a great talk from Rajiv about your prospects with the GMAT. So we can straight move on to then what is it in the GMAT that you need to be ready with to be able to, conquer as a CEO at the end, right? So the structure, as you all must be familiar with, involves 4 sections, wherein you have the quantitative section, the verbal section, the integrated reasoning, and the analytical writing. Okay, so the quant section you can see has 31 questions for which you have just 62 minutes to answer. So you can already see that you have to manage time, Similarly, on the verbal section, you have 36 questions, mind you, with just 65 minutes to, answer those questions. The integrated reasoning and the analytical writing are apart from the verbal and the quant section, because the score composite of the GMAT comes only from the quantitative and the verbal section. The integrated reasoning and the analytical are separate two scores that you will get. I will come to that a little while later. So the analytical writing has just one topic that you have to write an essay on, and that's going to be an argument that you're going to write an essay on, which lasts for 30 minutes. The integrated reasoning has 12 questions to be done in 30 minutes, right? Now, the quant section is going to test you in two question types, majorly problem solving and data sufficiency. So most of you could be wizards in the math and may require, a lot of technique strategies for the verbal, and some could be the other way around, wherein verbal comes a little more easily than does the math. But either way, you need both to be able to come close to that respectable score of 720 plus, isn't it? The integrated reasoning tests you with questions on different formats of table analysis, graphic representation, two-part analysis, and the multi-source reasoning, right? So just 12 questions, but that's going to really grill you a lot again. Okay, so this is the structure. So this is a good 3 hour plus long test. You can see that, right? With the breaks, it easily comes to, make you endure this 3 hours plus. Okay, coming now to the scores, as I said, the AWA has the score, a grade of between 0 to 6, which is totally, exclusive. It isn't in the 200 to 800. Similarly, integrated reasoning section is of a range of 1 to 8. But the quant and verbal, you can see the composite score is between 200 to 800. And for each of the quant and the verbal, the raw score range that you get is between 6 to 51. But the composite then is, converted to between 200 to 800. So it is this that you have to look out for to get to the 740 plus. Okay, I would say 740 because you need to aspire higher. Then is when you can at least get close to that 720 plus, right? So get going with the knowledge of all these things. So you must be knowing that you can select the section order now. Previously, it was just one fixed order. It was always to begin with the essay, then the IR, then a break, then the quant, and then the verbal. So they've introduced two more orders. So you can begin with the verbal. So those who feel they are, easily, rather they can easily access the verbal first, they can start with the verbal, then move on to the quant, and then lastly to the integrated reasoning and analytical. You can see that IR and AWA are inseparable. So you can in no way split those two sections. They go together always, either right in the beginning or right at the end. But the only switch you can do is with verbal first or quant first. So this you will be asked just before the exam, as to which section you will be taking, or rather which order you will be following. And by the time you actually take your mock tests while the preparation, you should be quite decided upon which order is it that you will follow. So coming now, the test center, since this pandemic is really, creating a lot of havoc, almost 1.5 years now, GMAT has introduced even the home testing. And previously, what sort of was lacking has now been, made up. So they do include the select section even on the home testing. You can see the breaks previously were not there. Now the same breaks are allowed. The scratch work, which you normally in the test center exam, you get the laminated booklet and you are provided with two dry erase markers too. But for the home testing, you will be having the online whiteboard or the physical whiteboard. I would advise that you all buy the physical whiteboard and practice, at least two tests with that, so that you get familiar with doing, or rather using, the physical whiteboard. The sending of score reports to B schools, you can send 5 to 5 programs your score, of course, when you reach that score that you wanted. And if at all you need to send your scores to any additional programs, then you ought to shell out $35 each program for that. Free and unlimited score report sending after receiving the official score report is provided with home testing. Okay. So, whereas Test Center restricts you to only 5 programs that you can send your scores to, home testing allows you with unlimited score report sending, right? But even then, you all do need to shortlist to which programs you will be sending your scores to, and that homework has to be done well ahead before you take the test, right? Now, coming to the ideal GMAT score, as you can see, Rajiv had already told you all to be able to get to those esteemed universities, you have to be on a score minimum of 700, and to be able to even go to the higher universities with more respectable, I would say, uh, fame that they have, 730 is the minimum that you need to touch. So for this ideal GMAT score, that is why the GMAT score matters. Okay, this test is effectively designed. So all the skills that you will be requiring during the MBA program is already sort of put to test during the GMAT that you all are taking. See, because you have to see that you manage time. That's a big time management lesson that you will learn. Secondly, you have to be able to take impromptu decisions between two choices, right? So suppose you're stuck between two answer choices. You have to use your head to see that you are able to, you know, move on to the test, not get stuck. So the decision skill that you have to make also sort of, begins with this test that you have. Which question to spend time on, which not to spend time on, which one is giving you a tough time. Okay, so you have to see that you get out of the question in time to be able to complete the paper. So all these skills, the decision skills, the tact that you need, the time that you need for a question, will you be able to get it right, will you not, this decision making is already sort of started, been tested in the GMAT. Secondly, the GMAT score is what indicates the preparedness of the candidate for the MBA score, for the MBA course that he's taking, right? So the score is what weighs whether the student is, well, I would say, prepared to even come into this course. Because obviously, through all the tacts and strategies and techniques that he has learned to be able to ace the GMAT, that is what is going to help him throughout the MBA course. So the mix and match of a good score with a good MBA course go well hand in hand. So a good GMAT score, don't you think, is half the battle won, right? So, and it's not an easy deal, right? You, for being able to get to that 730 score, you have to sort of start preparation. So yes, 2 months is good enough time for you to be able to reach that score that you want, but then that requires rigorous preparation. So the tips majorly to score that, I would put it as 740, and what, why not even more, is to first make a study plan, that includes the number of hours you need to put in every day. That matters a lot. And keeping that GMAT test date in mind. So if you've already decided that, yes, this is the month, and rather, I would say tentative month can be decided upon first. And then, as and when you take these mock tests, you can then zero in on a date. But the preparation starts right from the tentative month that you have already decided upon. So the study plan has to be adhered to. And when can that be adhered to? Is when you do meet the number of hours you need to put in every day. Obviously, I understand that you people have to match your professional work with the GMAT preparation, but I mean, everything cannot be served in a platter. So you cannot compromise one for the other. You need to go on with your work. At the same time, you need to set about time for the GMAT preparation. You cannot lose out on one, right? Second, for this is when you need to decide whether you are on your own or you need a tutor. And obviously, I would advise, you considering the latter. because all said and done, you're going to be busy with your work. You're going to really not find time to first learn what the GMAT is, learn the syllabus up, and then spend time on the techniques needed, look at a few question papers, and rather than get jittered afterwards that, oh my god, this is huge, might as well set on to put in take the guidance of a tutor, so that she will be able to help you, guide you where you need to be guided, right? Because as I said, if you are one who's already sort of on a level that you can speed up on the quantitative score, then you need more focus on the verbal. Not to say that you cannot brush away math totally, but at least you will know, and you will know that only by the tutor, as to, do I need this to do now or this to do later? How do I do it? What is the technique? What are the skills I need? Should I answer these questions? Do I know these questions? So a whole lot, the only the tutor can guide you and enlighten you with. Okay. Next, obviously, you taking a lot of these full length mock tests at frequent intervals and reviewing your performance via error logs is what is going to make you see that difference in scores. So if you need to see that graph climbing, you have to do these mock tests, you have to review them again with the help of the tutor, because again, it is the faculty who will be able to look at what are your strengths, where do you lack, were you making a mistake, gross mistake on the concept itself, or was it a careless mistake that you did, or was it that you did not know this type of question at all? So these are stuff that you need to know, and only when you take the test will you be even able to look at, do I actually complete the test, right? Which is of utmost importance again, because it's not just answering all the questions, you need to even answer it accurately. At least most of the questions have to be accurate for you to be able to reach that 720 minimum, right? So all this will happen only when you are able to take a good number of mock tests during your preparation, right? Now, it is during these tests that you come to understand that you have to focus on your strengths. You just cannot, ignore. Just because they are the strengths, you cannot ignore. At the same time, more work has to be done on the weak areas only. For example, if you feel that no, you've become one sort of a guru on the sentence correction, you quite compatible with, maybe on the 13 questions you consistently get around 10 to 11 right, fine. Then let's see, are you able to do the same with the reading comprehension? Are you able to do the same with the critical reasoning? Because again, for you to be up on that 720 plus, you need to consistently score most of those questions on the verbal, right? Similarly, if on the math, you have to see which one kills you more. Is it data sufficiency which troubles you more? Is it problem solving? Now, when you decide on either, then you have to see it's geometry which troubles you more, or is it arithmetic ones which trouble you more. So there are so many parts for each of these to be conquered, and you have to take these bite-sized pieces. And when can you take it bite-sized pieces? Only through this mock test that you take. So when you sort of segregate each during the analysis is when you'll come to know, okay, this I'm done with, this I have to focus on. That is what will give you that hands-on look, and I would say ideal GMAT preparation will start only when you're able to review your tests properly. Now, as I said, if you have to ace the GMAT, you have to pace the GMAT test also. So don't you think pacing and acing go hand in hand, right? So it's, as I said, it's not enough for you to just practice to finish the test in 65 minutes. Okay, I'm done with the test in 65 minutes, but what did you do in those 65 minutes? How many questions were right? Okay, were you on a high difficulty level? Because GMAT is a computer adaptive test. So for you to be able to touch higher difficulty levels, you have to keep answering initial questions right. And that is what is going to quickly take you to a high level. And the moment you make careless mistakes, your difficulty level dips, very steeply, whereas the climb is very gradual. So this is what might put you off. So every time the climb comes, it's going to be gradual. The climb is never very steep, unless of course you have a a row of questions right, say 1 to 10 on the go. If you were right, then your climb to the high difficulty level is going to be steep. But at that pinnacle, on the 10th question, you go and make a silly mistake. You will climb down 3 steps, not that you just come down by 1 step. So that is what is computer adaptive. So you have to see that if you are one who is to ace the GMAT and has to make the score to that 720 minimum, then you have to set these things right. I should concentrate on the initial questions. I have to see that what I know I do correctly. I have to see that I let go of my ego when it comes to those killer questions. Not to keep, thinking that, oh, this is going to be, conquerable. I have to just spend 1 minute more and I will get there. And the thing is, at that point of time, you won't even know that the 1 minute has gone by. 2 minutes go by, 3 minutes go by, and you unnecessarily spend time on a question wherein you could have spent the same time on 2 more questions, which you have easily got better and accurate. So this management of time, this management of decisions is what is tested on the GMAT. So these few tips and more will be, sort of guiding you towards the good 720 minimum that you need on the GMAT, right? So I would say for more, you have to come to us. We will be talking and letting you know more on these tips. Right now, I am done with explaining to you all about the structure, with how the GMAT goes, what is necessary to get to the 740. So now the ball is in your court. So I would be ready to answer any questions that you all have. So Rajiv, are you there?
Hello. Yeah. Absolutely. I'm there.
Yeah. So yes, people, any questions that you all want to ask, please. We are there
Okay.
to.
So there is one question from Naman Gupta. So he says, I have 12 years of experience working with MNC at mid-level positions, and now to grow up ladder, applying for an MBA from a top B school. But after going through the school requirements with the maximum 8 years of experience in my case. Okay. So let me make you clear. So as far as the B school requirements is considered internationally, they have a minimum requirement of 5 years. International B schools I'm talking about, and upper limit goes up to 12 years for a regular MBA, be it US, be it Europe. If in case your 12 years exceeds, then there is executive program or executive MBA related courses. Okay, so these are the two different types of things that you can look in for. But if you talk about the executive MBA from international countries, they will be offering you a blend of online plus offline classes. Okay, so but that's why I would recommend you to prefer the normal MBA itself, particularly US. If you target with 12 years, you can easily apply. I hope this answers your question.
Okay, so I see a question from Sumiran, who says that how much difference will be there in the actual score and the mock test. So to tell you, Simran, this difference you have to turn to consistency during your mock tests, right? So usually if you are up to a minimum score of 35 on the verbal, and on the math also you have climbed up to a 49. Okay, so this consistency, this pair is already going to take you to the 700. So you know that you have to keep preparing, that you are more than 35 and more than the 49 on the math to be able to get to that. Okay, so the variance between mock tests and actual tests, I would say, depends on how many tests you took and how confident you were on the actual test date. Okay,
Okay.
that is what will
Next.
decide. Yeah.
Okay. So next question I would like to answer. So do all B schools abroad ask for work experience for MBA programs? Yes. For MBA programs internationally, you need to have a minimum of 2 years, but preference is 5 years in order to increase the weightage. Okay, so 2 years makes you eligible, but if you have 5 years, the weightage of that work component will increase. Another question. My age is 34. Am I still eligible to do an MBA? I have 2 years of experience in HR. Absolutely. So there is no age limit for an MBA. There are very few universities which have the age restrictions, but for an MBA, generally there is no age limit. as long as you are competent, as long as you can prove your mettle, as long as you can justify that if you get into an MBA, you come out with a valuable proposition. In that case, you can go ahead with an MBA. 10 years, I think, as of now, you can easily go. You can apply for an MBA either from Europe or from US or Singapore.
Okay, question from Srihari says, what type of questions are asked on the quantitative? Srihari, you are asked questions on algebra, inequalities, probability. I mean, all these put together in two types of questions of problem solving and data sufficiency, right? So, a good, I would say, distribution on the algebra, geometry, and arithmetic is what you have, right? And coming to Rahul, who says, I have started preparing my GMAT, but I'm still not able to do the quant section. So, Rahul, you have to see where you lack, how many mock tests you have taken. Have you finished the modules? Because just by finishing one module, probably you're not going to be able to, show the progress. So, as and when you complete the course and, get to know each technique, each strategy behind each type of question is when you will be able to see the difference in the scores. Okay. So get back to your faculty with every test for the review. That will help you surely. Yes. Okay. Is Hritik Raj asks, is it possible to do preparation starting this month and aim for last week of August for test attempt? Yes, Hritik Raj. We've reached mid-June. So by mid-August, if you are one who's able to put in a good time, for preparation, then is when I would say this is possible, because for the course itself, you will require around, 2 months, right?
Okay.
So it's only if you take a one-on-one that you'll be able to finish it faster and then practice on the mock test. So you should get back to us to know which course variant will help you and when will you be able to take the test by August. The admissions also will help you on that, right? Yes, Raji.
Okay, so another question was whether working experience is needed to attend GMAT exam. Not required. You can take your GMAT exam and then parallelly get the work experience as well. That is fine. Okay, so you did not have the work experience while attending a GMAT, but yes, while applying to any of the MBA, you need to have the work experience. So one more student is asking, I am in the. So the answer is yes. As I said, the validity of GMAT is 5 years. So assuming if you take the GMAT in the third year, you will still have 5 years to apply for a GMAT. So you can take comfortably. At least it will help you to focus on your work experience and your applications later on, because test prep is complete. You have done and dusted the GMAT score.
Okay, so I
Yeah.
see Hritik Raj again asking for a student starting with a verbal 17 and a quant 45. So Hritik Raj, are you saying to start from there, can you take the exam in August? Is that the question? Then again, I would say yes, very much possible, because see, math is already your strength. You are able to score faster on the math. So the verbal will require, and believe me, with us, we can see with the very first mock test with one module done, there is a good leap of 10 to 15 points on the verbal also. So again, it depends on how much practice and how many hours you're able to give to be able to see that much of improvement. And Raparti, sorry, the mock test cannot be taken from the mobile. You have to have the laptop for that, right? That is important, right? Yes, any other question, Rajiv, which you would want to
Okay,
see?
so can working as an intern during graduation count as work experience? No. Generally, work experience will be counted while you're working full time with any of the organization. Or if you're working for your own, that is considered to be work experience, not the internship. Okay, should a student without work experience aim for reputed B school? You can. Now, there is a term called MIM, which is Masters in Management. It is for those candidates who have 0 to 2 years of experience. Top B schools do offer in Europe, particularly, not America, but in Europe. For example, INSEAD and HEC Paris, world's top two schools, gives you a MIM degree if you have recently passed. If you have 0 years of experience, you can apply for MIM in these two top B schools, and you can get an admit with a good GMAT score.
Okay, Amira, you asked where we get the mock tests. So, I mean, once you enroll with us, Amira, you will get from us on enrollment itself 10 mock tests with us. And apart from that, you do have these MBA prep tests that you have. So it's only when you sort of come to a tutor or know more, will you be able to actually see how many tests you can. But yes, from Princeton Review, you have a good number of 10 mock tests that you can take, and the number of drills that we have for practice is amazing. So talk to our centers for more information. Surely they will be able to help you out on how to go about these. Okay.
So the question is,
Which
which are the months in which GMAT is held? Ma'am, would you like to answer this? And when
Yeah.
do we
So
apply for that?
so GMAT doesn't have any fixed date, people. So you have to go about looking for our dates available, and you have to go on. You just have to see that you are able to lock on whether you need a test center or a home testing center. So as far as home testing, you can actually now even schedule your date 6 months in advance, even for a home test. At the same time, you can also schedule it 24 hours in advance, right? So that flexibility is there in the home test. But yes, for the test centers, of course, only when this pandemic sort of moves away from us for good is when we can see more happening on the test center. I hopefully by this month end things should start subsiding. Let's hope for the best, right? So there's no hard and fast month as such for GMAT. Okay.
Okay. So another question is, uh, some universities in UK consider GRE as an essential requirement, and others go with GMAT. See, if you're going for a B school education, if you're going for a management, prefer giving GMAT over that of GRE. GRE is also accepted by many B schools, but GMAT is the first preference by most of the schools. Another question is, if you are from a non-business background, does that profile score lower? So ideally, no. As long as you are able to justify that you are going to be a very important contributor, you are going to be a potential leader after you complete your MBA degree. That is what I said. Even if you have slightly weaker points, assuming your academics is weaker or your, you can say, your work experience is weak, you can balance through other parameters and still get into a top B school. And since I said you focus on GMAT because this is something which you can control for now. You cannot control your academic scores, you cannot control your work experience, you can control your GMAT score. So that is why I said you try scoring around 740, balance your profile through other parameters, and then apply for a top-notch school. Chances are that you may get into, provided you prove your competency at the right time.
Okay, there's a question from Arushi which says, is there any preference of test center GMAT over home test? Nothing like that, Arushi. It's the same whether you are, taking the home test or the test center test. The test is, has the same credibility. So don't you worry about that. Okay. Yeah. Any other question?
Score has to do anything with the scholarship? So it varies actually. From scholarship, if you talk about, they look into other parameters as well. Definitely, score will play a vital role, but other parameters do play a role. So you cannot say that GMAT score solely will be responsible for your scholarship. So how relevant is MIM degree in global context? See, in India, if you give CAT and go into IIMs, the degree that you get, that is equivalent to MIM only. Although in India, people say to be an MBA, but MIM means student has less than 2 years of experience. So if you get MIM degree from top B schools, it has a very good, you can say, brand value across the world. Okay, so that is, I hope that answers the question. What
Okay.
is the average GMAT score that ISB accepts? So ISB does not have a specific score range, but since I have placed around 12 students in the last 2 years, I have seen score varying from 680 to 740. And the students who got more than 700, they had a sure shot call from ISB for the interview. Obviously, the other parameters was well prepared. So, but students with 660, 680 had slightly lesser chance of getting a call for the interview.
Okay. Tushar Kapoor asks, how many study hours do you think are enough? Tushar, I would say, see, with the 2 to 3 months preparation time that you need for acing this test, you need a minimum of 100 hours to a maximum of at least, 130 hours for your GMAT prep, I would say. So please make that schedule and then, start your prep. That is important. Okay.
Okay, so
So
need to know about top 5 countries where I can get a PR easily after completing my MBA. See, PR is dependent on you as a potential asset to that country. If you after an MBA, if you get placed into top companies in the top profile, then the PR will not be an issue. But however, in general circumstance, Canada, Germany, US, Estonia, Eastern Europe, these 3-4 countries are very good for the PR. Poland.
okay. Someone has asked, no, someone has
What is the
asked
GMAT fees?
without math, how much time will it take? So people, it's not about, whether you're good in math, good in verbal. This has to be, solved, this myth that if you're one who is, good in math, you will be able to ace the, 49, 51 or something. Along with that, I do agree that minimum is required, but along with that, the skill to be able to do that question in the time given, that is what is more necessary when it comes to the GMAT. And it is those skills that we hone when you come to Princeton Review, Manya, wherein we sit with the student to make them understand what is the question testing. How is it that you can do it within the 1 to 1.5 minutes time? Okay, how can you save time for those more wordy questions? Okay, these are what is taught so that you have the knack, the intelligence, the tact, the strategies to be able to ace the test. Okay, so it again isn't how well placed you are in math, and without math can you do or not. You have to believe in the strategies to be able to do the GMAT. Okay.
So does MIM courses include further specializations like marketing? Yeah, definitely. There are 2 types of courses. One is MSc Management, general. Otherwise, if you want, you can choose a specialization like MSc Management with specialization in marketing, with specialization in international business, with specialization in consulting. So that depends on your preference, and that you can choose as per your preference out there. What are the post-course placement prospects for MIM in Europe? Uh, Okay, so there are 2 things. First is whenever you are checking the opportunities, please check the post-study work visa, how much you are going to get. So almost all the major countries in Europe has a very good post-study work visa. France has 2 years, Germany has 18 months, UK has 2 years, Netherlands has 1 year. So that post-study work visa, that time is given to you to find out job of your choice and prove your metal out there, right? Now talking about job opportunities in India, what happens is you graduate from a school, there will be 100 200 companies coming recruiting at the mass level and going out there. But in Europe, what happens is you have to network and build relationship with the company and get yourself placed. So that is why that 1 year of post-study work visa is given, so that you can network well and get yourself placed. Looking at the previous 6 to 7 years of trend, students who had that competency of networking well had a good degree and had a good profile, they had found good jobs in Europe, like Germany and France, with a very good pay package of around 40,000 euros annually. So it should not be a problem as long as you're competent and follow the rules.
Okay. The average
How to
GMAT
track
score that.
improvements?
Okay.
Yeah,
Carry on.
ma'am.
Carry on.
How to track improvements in the concepts when preparing on your own for GMAT? Would you like to answer this?
Sorry,
How
I
to
didn't see
track
that. How to track? Sorry.
how to track improvements in the
Mm-hmm.
concepts when preparing on your own for GMAT?
So again, that is going to be tough, people, unless and until you know your way out to the solution yourself. So that probably will lead you to a good solution. You will be able to know the mistake, but then how not to repeat it, how to be able to make the difference in the next test will become a problem. So yes, in Manya, we do have this self-paced program wherein you can, ask for doubt clearing sessions. So you can ask us, through the uh, toll number that we're giving you about how this goes and how you'll be able to look to the improvement with these extra doubt clearing sessions that you'll have. Okay.
So, ma'am, another question: online classes will be one-to-one or is it group?
Okay, we do have batch as well as one-on-ones, people. So depending on your necessity of, the GMAT has to finish fast, you have only 3 months time, then I think a one-on-one would be better, because if you go for a batch, you need a minimum 2 to 3 months for the batch to finish, which might sort of eat away your time by which you need to take the exam. So talk to us again to know more about how this goes, right? We have different course variants which will help you, which one would be best for you with your work front, right?
Is
Yeah.
there any hello, is there any specific course material available for preparing for GMAT? Ma'am, would you like to answer this?
I would say come to Princeton, people. So,
Okay,
I mean,
okay.
see, for sure that when you Google out, you have umpteen materials, people. But yes, come to us. We will then guide you as to, obviously, the manual we have made includes both the math and the verbal for the techniques that you need for the GMAT. And then we have to build on those when you take these harder questions, right? So, yes, Princeton is the best, right?
And ma'am,
Okay.
if you can just let us know the GMAT exam fees, one of the question is there.
Yeah, the GMAT exam fees is $205, people.
Okay, so
Yeah.
because we are running
And there
short
is
of
no
time, yeah.
bias, huh? There is no bias between home test and test center, people. So please go ahead with the home test. There's no glitch as such at all, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So we are running short of time, so this I'll answer as a last question,
Uh-huh.
uh, and then we can close up.
Yeah.
For those who
Yeah.
have any doubts, you can connect with us on our email ID, Manya email ID. Ma'am, if you can just, I think, just a second. Yeah, it's info@manyagroup.com. Please post your queries. We will try to answer all of those. So the last
Yes,
question
people.
is,
Hmm.
yeah. So last question is slightly interesting. Is that if I do an MIM from abroad, can I get a job in India? So this is frequently asked question. So ideally, in this global scenario, you can find almost all the top companies having the offices in India. For example, Deutsche Bank, for example, Bank of America, for example, Accenture, TCS. Sorry, TCS is an Indian company. Then comes American Express. So what happens is, what students do is they go in that respective country, assuming you go in US, get a job in any of the companies, any of the top MNCs, and then they get their transfer done to Indian office. And many of my contacts have done so. So it's not at all an issue. This is a global world, global village. You can connect as long as you have a good networking skills. As long as you are tied up with a good company, it will not be an issue getting your transfer to India. So I think with this, we can wrap up the session.
Yes, thank you
And
for attending, people. And for any more questions, please reach out at this toll free number.
yes,
And if not, please come to our website at www.manyagroup.com. And yes, you can email us also at info@manyagroup.com. So, wishing you the best to reach the 740. Please come. Yeah. Yes, Rajiv, you can end it.
okay. So I would also like to thank all of you for this, for giving me a chance to speak on this GMAT. I hope this session was very informative for you. Even if it has helped you in 5 or 10%, I'd be more than happy. And most importantly, my thought process was to guide and give you a light what is actually going on. So take the right decision, take strategic decision. Please connect with us if you have any doubts in terms of career counseling, in terms of taking a GMAT, and we will give you the best possible solution. So with this, signing off.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, people. Thank you, Rajiv.
Thank you, Rajna.